stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. Meeting shall come to order.
And let's see, first on the agenda are announcements. First announcement is about the street lights with the city. Selfie. We've been working with the city, we being the board, and management have been working with the city for, I can't even count how many months, I think since last August and before. Been to city council meetings, submitted letters, submitted maps showing where the street lights are. They had accepted it with the city council mid-year last year. They sent us a document to be notarized on Tuesday. That document has been notarized. The wet document that they needed was submitted to them personally today, a few minutes before noon. So that will go back onto the city council agenda for another, hopefully final approval to, again, maintain the streetlights that are the city streetlights to maintain. As we get more information, we'll definitely update the community through the daily report, but it's supposed to be on the agenda for the 21st, and if we can confirm that, then we will be down at the city council meeting again to petition the city to maintain the streetlights that are theirs to maintain. I have a note on here as far as do not confront at gates. It'll also be in my management or manager's article for February, but I've had some hearsay reports that people are taking it upon themselves at especially the Crooked Creek gate, to stop mid-gate or right after the gate to make sure the arms come down to not let people come in. Please don't do that. There's a couple different ways that the arms don't come down right away. The gates are gates, and sometimes they don't automatically come down. It takes a second car to go through for the gate arms to go down. More often than not, it's that the car behind you or the car behind you has already tripped the sensor from their transponder, and so they're not going to come down. So the person behind you or the person behind you and the other car are residents. They should be here. They're just trying to get home, and stopping them is going to cause a confrontation, and you don't need to follow people to their homes to make sure that they live here. We have cameras at all gates. If an act occurs inside the community and we can identify the car, we can work with the police to get them that record of when they came in and what that license plate is so that the police can do their job. Please stop stopping people from coming in. One that's not on here is the Conservancy. After the Neighborhood Watch meeting yesterday, there was a meeting with the IRCD, which is the Inland Empire Resource Conservation District, and the builder to go over that 26 lot parcel that's up front, the dirt lot, and some other items. But the IRCD made an offer to accept that land from KHOV. KHOV needs to go through their attorneys to see exactly how they can do that. And that way there won't be an RV park up there or other homes or high occupancy apartment complex. It would just be, we're not exactly sure what it will be. Again, it's still that question mark that's up there, but at least it's not going to be an RV park. And also the city has passed a moratorium on RV storage in the city for another year. So even if it wasn't going to the IRCD, it still wouldn't be an RV park for a considerable amount of time. And then my last announcement is to, again, slow down. Speed limit's 30 miles per hour on the circle, 25 on the side streets, and 15 miles per hour in the lodge. There's no passing on the circle either. I think I'm going to add that on there because that keeps happening. But please slow down and follow speed limit. You're so close to home. 10 seconds isn't going to make that much of a difference. And with that, we'll go to homeowner input. As a reminder, it's limited to 3 minutes per homeowner, and only one request to speak form may be submitted per homeowner. There will be no sharing or passing of time to another person. Homeowner input may be held for a maximum period of 30 minutes before the board meeting begins to allow the board to proceed with the business portion of the meeting. This portion of the meeting is limited to board participation only. Residents are welcome and encouraged to stay for the full meeting to witness the business of the corporation taking place by your governing agents. I don't know if we're gonna get through everybody. I've got a couple that are not dog park, but I've got a ton of dog park ones. So we will go through them as I receive them after the first two. With that, first one is Bob Melville.
Well, you answered my question. I wondered why none of the lights were fixed for the last 4 or 5 months. And I can't understand why the city council can't get off their fannies and do their work.
Well, it is an election year, so that.
Yes, unfortunately, yeah. We'll get another clown to replace the one we're getting rid of.
All right, with that, Phil Westbrook.
In response, or regarding Crooked Creek Gate, about 3 months ago or so, I'm just going by memory right now, I put in an issue when I got stuck behind a guy that got out of his car, went over and used the
Can't hear you. Speak into the phone.
Crooked Creek Gate. How's that?
Better.
Barbara can hear me, okay, we're good. The Crooked Creek Gate, I witnessed and made a report through the issues about 3 months ago, I think it was. But basically, the car had stopped in front of us. The guy gets out of the car, goes over there, does the keypad because they got the ballards up, you can't drive through the shack there. And then people are backing up behind him, so now people are trying to go around to get into the gate, which is really making a really nice traffic issue down there. Then he finally gets back in his car, and now we got people trying to sandwich through that gate. So I wrote it up, and I was told that pad will be deactivated, maybe even removed within a week or so. So I noticed that just in the last 2 weeks, we had another recurrence again, just like I described you that happened 3 months ago, and I thought that kind of strange because I thought that pad had been either disabled or removed, but it's still active because anybody can go over there, but they have to get out of their car and leave their car in the traffic lane to activate the keys and get back in. If you're all by yourself, it's not a problem, but if people come up behind you, they're going to try and go around you. And so that is still an active problem down here, so I hope that management can handle that. Thank you very much.
That was, we put a metal pad and anchored it into the wall there on Christmas Eve, so that problem has been answered.
That's resolved,
Yes. Next is Martha Baumgartner.
Good afternoon, board, friends, neighbors. Martha Baumgarten, 255 Broad River Trail. For me, the first order of business is to thank our board of directors for its fair and full consideration of an off-leash area in Four Seasons. I also recognize the extensive due diligence performed over the past several years on the part of the Community Planning and Transition Committee, the Off-Leash Area Ad Hoc Rules Committee, and First Service Residential, including our on-site staff and our association's legal counsel. I further acknowledge the guidance from experts from outside Four Seasons, including professional behaviorists and the CEO of Ramona Humane Society, who has professionally operated in an access-controlled off-leash area for over 15 years. He also happens to be a Four Seasons resident. Based on the data regarding American households with at least one dog, we estimate that somewhere between 700 and 1,100 households here have just that, at least one dog. Next to our common interests in Four Seasons overall, this makes for the largest single natural interest group within this community. Many assume that off-leash areas are for the sole benefit of dogs, yet these amenities offer just as much benefit to people, especially in an environment like Four Seasons, where the rules we have crafted are designed to promote a clean, safe, and healthy environment for dogs, people, and the community in general, with well-defined consequences for violations, by the way. I offer the following direct quote from Dr. Lynette Hart, Director of UC Davis Center for Animals and Society. For those of you who don't know, UC Davis is one of the top 3 veterinary colleges in the United States, one of the top in the world as well. Establishing a dog park creates a community center of activity where friends and neighbors gather to relax. Users of dog parks are self-policing so as to maintain the appealing environment, Creating dog parks is a method for more efficiently educating dog guardians and facilitating them in assuring excellent behavior with their dogs. Further, I'll defer to another authority on this matter regarding benefits to the community. This quote comes from the National Parks and Recreation Service booklet, Planning Parks for Pets, designating an area where dog guardians can allow their animals to run off-leash successfully remedies a problem in parks where the concept has been introduced. Violations of the leash law and subsequent public complaints have decreased, and dog guardians have a place to legally exercise their pets. Off-leash areas allow dog guardians to be law-abiding, easing the burden of enforcement on animal control officers and freeing them to do more important work, such as animal rescue and control of dangerous animals. With regard to property values, something near and dear to all our hearts, and off-leash areas, this list comes from the real estate site Trulia. It's titled 8 Neighborhood Features That Increase Your Home Value. I'm reading them in the order they were presented. Hiking trails, mature trees, walkability, historic homes, 5 dog parks, retail and essentials nearby, future amenities, organized community groups. Currently, Four Seasons can claim 6 out of the 8. Let's make that 7 of 8 with an approval to proceed from our board today. Thank you.
Our next speaker is the nice guy. Go ahead.
I'm going to try without the microphone. I know we've had a lot of people talking about the dog park. I'm still a little confused exactly where the proposed area is going to be. Is it outside of the Breckenridge Gate, or is it beside the courts?
It's after the courts, while you're driving down towards the Breckenridge Gate, on the right before Arbor Peak.
Is it kind of like a catch basin?
It's near that. It's near that.
Okay, I'm glad to know it's in the gate. And about Crooked Creek Gate, is that now a resident entrance?
It's always been a resident entrance only.
It used to be just a construction, where it was only one code that worked, and then the code kept on changing. So our own
That's
personal...
the Breckenridge Gate. Are you talking about the far back gate? The last gate on Highland Springs?
Yes, yes.
That's a construction gate. That will be turned over within the next couple of weeks, and then it will be a resident entrance with a
And your
fob.
own personal code?
No, I don't think there's going to be a code, just the transponders.
Okay, but I mean, okay, again, guests will not be able to, which I don't disagree with. The roof on the RCIN building, that's been a long
The
time.
facilities committee is working on that. Facilities committee is working on that.
Yeah, because it looks pretty
Yes.
tacky, yeah. And you mentioned the lights, the street lights. There's one on the, and they're on Four Seasons, one by the Edison easement, and then
There's about 20 that are out
something,
right now.
Sam's Canyon.
There's 20 that are out right now.
There's one what?
20 that are out right now.
There's 2.
20.
Oh, 20. Oh my goodness, they must be on a route that I'm not taking. All right, the dog park, and then you answered the question on the gate. So a couple of weeks, because isn't that Breckenridge,
Yeah,
that
Breckenridge,
street?
Yes.
Okay, so that will be an entrance for residents, you said, in a couple of weeks.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Lance. Next is Connie Mendoza.
10 years I've lived here for 10 years and I've never been at this podium. Well, because there's only really a few things that I'm that passionate about. And one is safety and security, which I'm not talking about today, and dogs. When we moved here, I remember telling my husband, but there's no dog park. He said, make it your mission. So I have worked diligently for this entire time, not only as a charter member of the dog owners group that is no longer, but Tails and Trails that morphed off of that does a much broader scope of pet rescue. And so I have worked very hard on this for all these years to try to get it here. And I absolutely love Four Seasons. I'm never leaving. You're stuck with me until I go to Shady Pines. And Shady Pines at the lakes luckily allows dogs and happy hours on Tuesdays and Fridays. So I'm there. So, since I am a charter member of these groups, I have seen my fellow residents, and we've helped so many people. We have 80 cases in the last 3 or 4 years of lost and found pets. Our recovery has been 99%, and that was only to a wild animal that we couldn't control when we didn't lose. But I've seen the dedication and commitment of my fellow members, and I see the pet parents walking their pets daily in the thousands, I'm sure, if not 7 to 1,000, we think pets. And some houses have 3, 4 dogs in their house. So to me, it's a no-brainer. We need a dog park. My husband and I traveled to dog park, to RV parks, I'm sorry. And that's my first question, do they have a dog park? Because it's so fun for our pets to get out and exercise and run free with the other dogs. And we did try a thing over at Noble Creek for a while, and our residents were meeting there, and the dogs had so much fun, and there just wasn't an issue. And Ramona will tell you, they've just run their dog park for years and years without issues. It self-polices, the people get along, they all meet at certain times, and so I'm just really appreciating the and all support for an off-leash area within our gates. So thank you.
Next is Chris Corbett.
Hello, I'm Chris Corbett. I live at 1586 Stellar Peak, and I am a dog owner. However, I am opposed to the off-leash area for 3 reasons. Financially, type of the dog park that is proposed, and the location. It is time we start looking at additional projects with a critical financial eye. It is my money, and it's your money, not the builder's money, that will be paying for items from here on out. Who will maintain this area? Make sure the dog do is picked up. Clean up after those residents who don't, and monitor and report those who don't keep the area picked up. And if we want it upgraded with irrigation, it will fall on our checkbooks. Secondly, the proposed area itself. Some experts are opposed to such entities, especially like the minimalist one proposed here. A well-constructed dog park is several acres, ideally with amenities that include water, equipment to play on, varied terrain so dogs have plenty to keep them environmentally engaged rather than pestering each other. Parks that are small, overcrowded, and boring greatly increase the likelihood of inappropriate canine behavior or fights. Other important park features include separate areas for small dogs and large dogs, and double-gated entrances so dogs can leave when newcomers arrive. This is nothing like the one proposed here. Dirt surrounded by a fence, basically. No grass, no water access, no varied terrain, one park for both large and small dogs, just dirt surrounded by a fence. This is nothing like the one that was originally planned when the builder was going to be responsible for it. The location. Well, I live at the top of Stellar, at the other end of the proposed off-leash area. It will be the first thing seen coming into the Breckenridge Gate. There are homes nearby, some overlooking this area. The ambiance alone, remember basically dirt surrounded by a fence, is disheartening. We already have substandard landscaping in the Peaks Phase D area, and now we get a fenced-in dirt lot. Then add the stench that will be certainly arise and float upward. Remember, no grass, no irrigation, no sprinklers, especially during the Santa Anas. It's not something that I saw in my future when we purchased here 4 years ago. I don't have a lot of time to continue. The largely negative info that I found when researching dog parks. And I haven't even talked about the possibility of spreading infectious diseases like kennel cough, canine influenza, and intestinal parasites that can be transmitted if people aren't really, really diligent about picking up after their dogs. Left with that picture, I would ask that the board members consider voting no for this off-leash area as planned. I would ask residents to consider alternatives to a dog park for developing their pet social skills, such as continuing with the pack walks and getting together with other dog owners, creating compatible playgroups that meet in fenced backyards. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Marty Key.
Well, on that note, hi, I'm Marty Key. Can you hear me? Yep. Okay, I won't give you my address, you don't really care. Anyway, that was interesting. I'm not really sure what the whole plan is, but I just want to say I've been to many dog parks my whole life with different dogs, and it's a win-win situation. The dogs win because they get to get out and run and socialize and learn to behave, learn to be afraid, learn to just be a better dog. And the people, it's so important. There's so many people here that have handicaps, that are depressed, that are isolated, and if they can take their little dog down to the dog park and sit and talk to others, they can get out. A lot of them can't walk their dogs anymore, so their dogs sit in the house and they sit in the house. So this is a win-win. It gets the dog out, it gets the people out. There are dog parks where 50 people show up at a certain time to socialize and let their dogs who've met new friends play. So it's a win-win. It's like the mommy and me when we were all younger and we had kids and you went so your child would socialize and you could talk to the other mothers. It's no different. It's the same in the dog park. If you don't like dogs, then don't go. Don't go. Stay away. And if you don't like all the rules and regulations, I've heard some people don't, but I think they're necessary to avoid some of the problems she said, then don't go. So if you're just feeling down and lonely and depressed and you want to pick me up, walk down to the dog park and just stand there and watch the dogs playing in the dog park, and you will leave with a smile. You really will. And also it gets more dogs off the trail, off the sidewalks, off your yards, off your lawn, if they have a place to go and play. I have a girlfriend who lost her mother and she was severely depressed. I took her, she was going to counseling, taking pills. I took her to the Beaumont dog park, which isn't that great. And she watched the dogs playing, and then she got a rescue, and she's a different person, no drugs, no counseling. She loves her dog, walks her dog. They're healing, they're helpful, they help all of us. And if you don't like them, stay away.
Our next speaker is Pauline Holmes.
Hello, I've lived here for 11 years, and they've talked about a dog park the whole time I've been here, and I've heard these horrible stories about dog parks are terrible places and full of disease and stench. I've never been to a dog park that is horrible. The dogs love it, that people take care and clean up after them. They don't have to be spectacular with games. The dogs love to be with each other, and the people love to be there with them. So I don't know which dog parks this other lady's been to, but I'd love to take her to some of the ones that I've been to. Also, I would like to say, as this other lady said, there are people here who don't have cars. They can't drive to the other dog parks. If they could go to a dog park here, it would be wonderful. So please, please, please take all these things into consideration. We would love it. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Buzz Dorff.
My name is Buzz Doff. I live on Belterra. We have 2 pets, and we're really in favor of dog parks. We have 2 pets, and we're really in favor of the dog park, and we really need it here. One of the problems I see where they want to put it is it's kind of a hill. It's kind of not flat ground. Right behind it is a wash where you could have coyotes, bobcats that could attack your animals. My suggestion is the water reservoir behind the courts. There's water there. They can put grass in there, sprinkler system's there already. Fence it off. It'd be more convenient, better area, flatter, and the dog could run and have a free, nice area to play in. We need this, and the people using it will have to keep it up. You know, it's your responsibility to pick up your dog's crap. And if you don't do it, you know, we lose things because some people, they don't do what they're supposed to do.
But my suggestion would be really look at that area for a dog park. If it rains, wet in there, I don't take my dog out walking around in the rain. A day or so later, it's dry. Palm Elementary School, their playground is in a water catch basin. There's a couple baseball parks in Riverside. They're in water catch basins. It can be used and flatter. It's more convenient for people than out where they want to put it. So that's my recommendation, and I'd like to see something happen in us getting a dog park. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Buzz. And our last speaker is Penny. Penny McKenzie Blair.
Who?
Penny McKenzie Blair.
Danya, did you give us a fake one?
Did somebody sign in that has
Penny?
to hold
Penny?
on?
I can't hear you.
Yeah, Penny
Yeah.
McKenzie Belair.
She must be out walking her dog.
It could be. It's about the dog park, so.
See? She would be here.
Possibility.
All right, well, seeing that there's no other speaker slips, we'll move on to the next on the agenda, which is the consent calendar. And the purpose of the consent calendar is to make a single motion to approve all included items. If for a particular reason an item needs to be discussed or pulled from the consent calendar, then a call to approve that item should be made by a board member. In the consent calendar are the minutes from December 9th and December 12th. Implementation of the investment plan as recommended by the Finance Committee. There were no Clever Group applications, and there are 3 events for next year: a wedding on March 7th, a wedding on May 7th, and a wedding on June 27th, all of 2020. So I need a motion to approve the consent calendar.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent calendar.
I'll second. It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent calendar. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next is the report on executive session, which was held this morning at 9 a.m. in the RCM. The board reviewed delinquencies, there were no liens or foreclosure actions. Board reviewed contracts, which they renewed the Springdale earthquake insurance for another year. Reviewed legal and personnel issues. With that, we'll go on to committee reports. The ad hoc off-leash area is not reporting. Neither is ad hoc power out, so we'll move to our technical committee.
Just like last month, our numbers are up. It's pretty self-explanatory. We did deny a new application for lack of information. We encourage you, when you're turning in something, it needs to be complete, all there. If you're wanting to replace your garage door, we need to know what kind of garage door you're putting on. Same thing with the addendums. That's the only reasons that we're turning anything down, is that it's incomplete. We do invite you to come to our meeting if you have something that's being worked upon. If you can't, please be near your telephone. We never turn anything down or reject it without talking to the homeowner, if it's at all possible. We have a phone there, we do call, and we contact a number of people. So help us out, help yourself out by making yourself available. And that is it. I understand that the committee memberships are coming up, and it was requested at the committee chair meeting that we put forth anybody who's going to leave the committee and who might be willing to stay. The art committee, all the current members are wanting to serve another term, or willing. I don't know if they really want to. And our chair and co-chair have again agreed to stay. That wraps everything up for the art committee, and we request the board approve retaining the members that we have, knowing full well that we're still looking, as always.
I was gonna say those members are Steve Cooley, Alex Luna, Ricardo Suarez Gardner, Robert Dale, Lori Rice.
I would suggest we do this on a comprehensive basis and do the same for all committees, for those that want to stay. Not just, instead of going through each one at a time. Just extend for the whole year, starting in January to the end of the year. Everyone that wants to stay on the committee has our approval to stay.
Are you proposing we do one vote for all committees?
Yes.
Second.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve all of our committee members and committee chairs for the HOA for the year 2020. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
Thank you. Communications is not here, so next is the Community Planning and Transition Committee. Phyllis.
I was waiting for the other person.
You should have seen that it didn't work for me.
My name is Willis Fagan. I'm standing in for Colin today because he's out of the country. Our committee is tasked with asking what and why. Those are our primary questions. What is needed? What are our objectives? And why is it important to meet those? We consider solutions, alternatives, constraints, benefits, and costs. Just in case you didn't know, the history of our community started in the mid-1980s. Can you imagine that? 35 years ago, they started talking about this place that we now enjoy. Think about where you were, what you were doing, what car you drove, what kind of technology you had in your home 35 years ago. We have a pretty nice community, we know that. But we need to think about the future as well. They started 35 years ago, we're here today in 2020, and we need to make this community viable and attractive for all the coming years to maintain our homeowner values and so forth. So that's an important task for our committee. We take that very seriously. All the decisions that we make and the considerations that we give have that long-term in mind. One of the first things that we did, I'll narrow the report down to just one thing that we worked on to illustrate, was the ballroom. 2.5 years ago, we put together a focus group on the ballroom. That was 3 people that were very experienced in the use of this space. They came back and reported to us that there were 3 major concerns that they had. One was storage, one is a sink. How long have we heard the sink thing? And one was a more flexible and fuller use of this space. So our committee got busy and started working on this. Storage. We first of all had to find out what it was that we stored. What was important? We discovered that there's a whole bunch of stuff that was in that room that we didn't need to store. Like 24 pink flamingos, stuff like that. It's really important to be in our storage room. So then we studied 7 different approaches to storage, from freight containers to off-site to all kinds of things. And then we developed costs, initial costs, and the cost of ownership and use of all of those different ideas. The sink, we studied 5 different alternatives for the sink. It's not just plunking a sink down, but it's what a sink has to do, what its function is. So when you have people tend, I'm not blaming anybody, but people tend not to take care of the communal sink the same way as they do their house sink, right? We all know that. Accidents happen. So we need something that is very utilitarian for a sink. Also, we considered it in the location of it. It's going to be noisy, it's going to be messy, and it has to be accessible to caterers and people like that. So that affected our choice of the sink area. Capacity. This room is labeled, there's a little label over the door there that says 525 people.
If you put 525 people in here, sitting at tables, no space for food or beverage or stage or anything else, that's an impractical number of people. We can put 525 chairs in here for a presentation, that's not a problem. Also, a combination of chairs and tables is impractical. But there's a constraint outside of this ballroom, and that is parking spaces. Think about 525 people in here, how many cars would that take? At 2 people per car, that would take 262 spaces. That's all of our parking lot filled for just this one space. Nobody else can do anything except just come here. So there are constraints that are not readily seen that we have to deal with when we come up with proposals. Our recommendation for the ballroom to achieve some of these objectives is to add about 850 square feet out there, outside our existing storage room. We've studied lots and lots of different alternatives. That seems to be the most practical, best used space. It's also the best investment for our community. We looked at how often do we have to access certain things. Is it a weekly day, a weekly, or daily, or monthly, or seasonal? And in all of those things that we looked at, that's the best installation for us. One of the things that will do is allow us to repurpose the existing storage room. It can then be a multi-use room. We can serve food in there and keep the mess out of the ballroom. We can plate food in there. We can have it for a workroom or changing space for when there's productions put on it. So all of those things go hand in hand. Potential costs. We looked at potential costs for all of this that I'm talking about. I'm not going to give you a number this morning or this afternoon, because if I give you a number, you'll go away and that number will be in your mind. And if it's different than that number, you're going to complain, right? So if I tell somebody it's between $5 and $10 and it comes in at $9.95, they'll complain and they'll tell me that I told them $5. The present status of this project is that we have the preliminary designs and the request for proposal. We need to go and get professionals to provide us with construction documents. Then we can get bids. Then we can know the real construction project numbers. Then we can discuss how to finance it and how to schedule it. Okay, so it's a process. And we're all volunteers here, so it takes us longer than usual. Last but not least, we don't do anything. Our committee doesn't do anything in the dark, behind closed doors, if we don't make backroom deals. You are always welcome to ask us questions, to talk about things, to make suggestions. You can come to our meetings, or you can talk to somebody like me personally if you want to. Thank you.
Thank you. What's next is Mike with EPC.
Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year.
As chairman of EPC, we're going to be looking at our mission statement, making sure that it lines up real well with You're on Your Own. And next year, we'll be looking at possible topics for 2020. Maybe we can get a speaker or two in here to be of interest to the people in Four Seasons. And if we did that, we might, possibly do it with Neighborhood Watch, because they normally have more people come out at their venue or at their day. And we'll have to check with Donna Lewis on that. And we'll be looking for more committee members. We'll be there on the 18th to try to recruit anybody new, and hopefully we can get some interested people in there. And our next meeting is next Tuesday at 10 a.m. in the RCN conference room. Len, there's no meeting that day? You haven't reserved me that day? I can have the room?
That's too far in the future.
Oh. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Next is Jim with Facilities.
Happy New Year, everybody. There we go. The Facilities Committee, we've been working on trying to get roofing situation taken care of here. And we did hire a consultant. The results came back. We're in the process right now of receiving proposals from contractors to do the roofing work. So that process kind of got delayed with the heavy rain season we had before the holidays and also with the holidays. So we should be receiving bids hopefully in the next couple of weeks. That's one project we're working on right now. Also, we're seeking approval for LED lighting for the pickleball courts, which will give us better coverage out there and also save us a lot of money. So we're presenting that to the Finance Committee this month. And that's about it on the projects we're working on right now. The Facilities Committee, of course, meets the second Wednesday of every month at 10 a.m. in the RCM room. And we have openings for anybody who's interested in joining our committee. And you're all welcome, anybody's welcome to come to our meetings. Thank you.
Thanks, David. Next is Barry with Finance.
We ought to have these meetings more often. It's been a year since the last one. So, Happy New Year, everybody. I want to thank the board for approving our membership. Everybody was termed out sometime during this year, so it appreciates us that we keep some continuity going. And we do have a person in the wings right now sitting in our meeting, so we should have another person, but always looking for people. And it's fun to attend. We have good, lively meetings, and money's of everybody's interest. So you should make it a point to come. Where am I? Oh, different format now. Wow. We have written 2 articles that will come out in I think the February. Am I right, Claudia? 2 articles. One is an immediate one that really goes over the HOA fee change that happened this year that was approved by the board in December. The other one is a little longer article, and we thought we needed it because they're compatible. It really reviews the process that we use to make that recommendation to the board. So it's a little more detailed, complex, and thorough, and I think you can appreciate the work that goes in. We don't use the dartboard method on what it is or what we think it should be. It's a pretty exhaustive review of our finances and costs and what we need to do to keep this place the way it is. So those 2 articles you'll be seeing in February. And we didn't have a meeting scheduled originally in December. Usually we're off because we're the last Tuesday in December, so we take off. But we did have a session, and we do approve things if the committee can agree via email. And we had 4 proposals come in. They were pretty straightforward from the social chairman, social activities person, and we did approve those. One we're going to bring back to the meeting and have a fuller discussion. So look forward to seeing anybody who wants to attend our meeting in January. Thank you.
Barry, before leaving, I think everyone needs to understand that all of our financial information is collected by First Service Residential and presented to us so that each month we get a report of financial conditions. Originally, the people who now work here at First Service were working here as Euclid Management. And Euclid Management merged with First Service or was bought by them or not. Somehow they're all one and the same now. And back in early September, they decided to merge the Euclid Management financial system with the First Service financial system. They did not run a parallel system during this merger, which meant that they were overly optimistic that they could accomplish it in time so we would not be without a financial report. Unfortunately, it didn't work out that way. So for the last 3 months, we have not gotten a financial report for the last 3 months of the year, which we are due, which we pay for. So we had some discussions with First Service Residential, and I believe we got finally the September, or the October one. We got the October one. and we're promised to get to November 1 and the December 1. We've taken action to let our displeasure be known to First Service Residential that we didn't get what we paid for in a timely manner. And I think that situation has been corrected, and we will get it shortly. But it's made the work of our finance people extremely difficult, particularly at a time when we're saying goodbye to the builder and taking over our own responsibilities. And thank you and your committee for all you've endured and worked to get that done.
Thank you.
Actually, that was one comment tied to yourself and to facilities. So finance and facilities. Facilities has been looking at doing the roof. We're looking at numbers that be in excess of $300,000. That's a lot of money. We're supposed to also be looking at going back to KHOV and seeing if we can get them, Eric, seeing if we can get them to participate in this. If we put the roof up and fix the roof before we have that taken care of, they're not going to give us anything. So we're in a push-shove situation with them. And I think what we need to do is really expedite going back to KHOV to see specifically with this item, with the roof item, if we get anything taken care of on that, because I really don't want to spend that kind of money all on our own.
Joe, you're right, and we're interested in that. And probably the good bad news is that right now we may get bids, but they're not going to be able to do the work till April timeframe. So we do have a couple of months to be able to do that.
That's true, but we got to hop on it. So whatever we can do now.
Okay, next is the Landscape Committee, Lynette.
Happy New Year to everyone, and this is the time of the year the plants go brown because they've been cold, and they also don't need as much water. And we're finding in some areas that people are still watering their yards. You don't need to, or contractors are turning off irrigation. If it gets really dry because the rain doesn't come, it'll come on momentarily. But during the months of January and February, you can really keep in mind to turn off your irrigation. It would be helpful. And what do we got here? Yep, we have that, and we have our committee. We have a lady about ready to come on, and she hasn't had a chance to tell us her point of view. We love her and hope she will join us, but we'll be bringing her to the March because of our time frames. And one of our, my co-chair, announced with the most wonderful article in the Breeze, the December Breeze, of what it means to be on the Landscape Committee, and you're all going to be standing in line to get on the Landscape Committee from the article he wrote, I'm sure. I don't see anybody getting off their chairs, but we just got the report that we've been waiting for from the arborist about his recommendation for trees to be considered for various reasons to be removed from our landscape. And so the Landscape Committee is going to be focusing on walking to include those particular trees that have been identified in the arborist report, and ask you to join us.
Thanks, Lynette. Next is Safety Committee.
Well, again, oh, isn't it wonderful? This was going to come under our, basically, my community ambassadors report, but since we're talking about now safety, and let us know that actually Eric Czar yesterday at our neighborhood watch meeting gave a complete, it was so informational about what this community was, what it is now, and then what's going to be in the future. So he was dynamic. A lot of people were here, but I would like for all of us to give him a big hand because he was so moved. Okay, so basically on our, thank you for ratifying our committee, and I would say that one of our committee members had to leave due to medical issues. So therefore, Kathy Craven will be our co-chair now. So she is just really wonderful and been writing up for us. So our next meeting actually is not Tuesday, January 14th. The next meeting will be February the 4th for safety. And should I just go ahead on and finish while I'm up here? Okay. So safety, we're working on, of course, the traffic study, but that's going to be in a bit. And thank you, Eric, for letting people know, please slow down. And we have had some, in his presentation yesterday, he was talking about some accidents that have happened. Simply, you have to think about the topography here. It is up and down, hilly, so sometimes when you're really not heavy on your accelerator, your car is still going down fast, so think about that. We will be working more, oh gosh, yes, I did actually change clothes overnight, so. But it
There's stripes on your top on that one. You got
The one, this one here, and the other part for community ambassador that will be coming up. This I'm wearing because on January the 25th, there will be a Veterans Military Family and Friends Expo at the Beaumont City Hall from 10 o'clock in the morning to 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Basically, come out and support. A lot of people here are veterans, they know about it, there's a lot of families, they're friends, there are bonds that have been made for people over time. So please come out and support. The city of Beaumont has been really generous in giving us the space and their staff for this because they understand and appreciate what it has taken for us to be able to be where we are. So thank you so very much. Bye.
Next is the social committee. Loretta.
Happy New Year, everybody. My name is Loretta Ramsey. I am with the Social Committee. We did have a very successful New Year's Eve event. Our next event is Rock and Roll Reunion. Basically what that is, it's 4 impersonators, Jerry Lee Lewis, Ray Charles, Little Richard, Buddy Holly, and there is going to be a lot of dancing with this, so be prepared. Come on out. Our ticket sales are Monday, February 13th. At 7 o'clock, you can come in and sign up. At 9 o'clock, you come back and you can pick your table.
January.
I'm sorry?
You said February.
I'm sorry, January. See, I'm a month ahead. Yes, it's January 13th. And of course, on the event, you can actually bring your own bottle. You can dance, and please, come dress 50s. Have fun. And our next meeting is February 4th at 1 o'clock at the RCM building. Thank you.
So you want us to ratify a new member?
I'm sorry?
Are we ratifying a new member?
It's actually supposed to be Bobby Chrisman.
I'll make a motion to ratify Bobby Chrisman for as a member of the social committee.
It's been moved and seconded to approve Bobby Christian for the social committee. All in favor?
Thank you.
Thank you. Next is the General Operations Board. Okay. Now I just sit in the back in case.
Could you hear that?
Yeah, well, as well as I could, but we will improve that. So I don't have much of a report this month because we have our audio-video consultant coming in on the 16th of January. So next month you may want to bring a lunch because it may be a while that, I may have a lot to say. But anyways, the goal is, and this room was never designed to be a theater, interestingly enough, and we're trying to get it there. So we're going to be looking at the lighting. I know that a couple of different groups want to improve the lighting. We're going to look at audio to improve the audio, so it's a little more audible for everybody. And then we're also going to be looking at the network to see what we can do to improve the network. I know that there's been some problems when we try to, run YouTubes and things during the shows here. So those are the goals. And I know there's a number of you that are going to be coming to the meeting at the end of the day. We'll have a technician all day, and at 3:30 he'll kind of give us his initial findings on what he thinks needs to be done, and we kind of have our own vision of what we'd like to do. So next month, I'm going to have a much better slide by next month, I promise. That's something a little funnier. But anyways, so we'll give you guys a nice report next month on what we find to improve the experience for the shows in this room. Thank you.
Thanks, Barry. Nita, you did your good with community ambassador. You want to know that?
That's great, but I forgot to tell you guys, anybody that wants to donate blood, live stream will be there as well. Okay.
Thank you. Let's see, next is
Anita's not in the picture. She must be taking the picture.
Oh.
Oh, she's that low?
Oh, that is the picture of Don and Tony. They gave so much to the Toys for Tots, that the Chips toy drive, and Eric has the letter of thank you from the CHP for helping. So that's it.
Is the officer to the left going to replace the one that's retiring on the right?
Yes.
Yes, Matt is going to be the new PIO. Darren has retired and he's going to Tennessee, Nashville. He's in the entertainment business now.
Awesome. Thanks, Anita. Next is the activities director report with Donna.
Hello. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Danya O'Hara. I'm the activities assistant here. You might also know me as Cindy's assistant, Cindy's substitute, or that girl that sits over there. And I wear all of those titles with a lot of pride. So I am here to just provide some of the upcoming activities that we have through the month of January. We got Perry Goldstein of the Techies will be hosting a Meet the Musicians event this Friday from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. in the ballroom. This is an opportunity for fellow resident musicians to perhaps check out opportunities to join that elite band of musical sound, lighting, and stage folks that we affectionately know as the Techies. All musical, techie, cable-pulling geeks are welcome. And then calling all clubs, groups, and classes, please send your captain, instructor, or main contact to the upcoming town hall meeting. We will be filling out new forms to have the most current information for our club, group, and class directory to be handed out at the club fair, which is taking place a few days after. We will also go over the new rules and how that affects you, as well as what you can do to help people get to know you and your group at the club fair. The date and time for that town hall is Tuesday, January 14th. The time is 5:30 and the place is here in the Lodge Ballroom. There will be a mandatory Spring Craft Boutique meeting on Wednesday, January 15th at 6 p.m. in the Lodge Ballroom. If you intend to participate in the selling of your crafts on the March 21st Spring Craft Boutique, you must come with your participation check of $5 per table in hand and be prepared to pick your lottery table. If you are unable to attend, please send a representative who can pay and pick up for you. This event will undoubtedly have a waiting list for folks wishing to get a table, so please be there if you'd like to have a table. The club fair is happening in the Lodge Ballroom on Saturday, January 18th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Are you ready to explore a new interest, learn a new skill, or have fun getting a bit more active with new friends? Come check out the many club, group, and class opportunities awaiting you. The first Gale Games of 2020 is the old TV show favorite Password. Everyone is welcome to join us for a hilarious, fun evening in the ballroom on Friday night, January 24th at 6 p.m. Come play with us or just enjoy watching. There's no cost to attend, and you may bring your favorite beverages and dinner with you. There will be a prize for the winning team. And don't forget to check out our mixed media art display here in the Lodge lobby that is going to begin on January 20th. Karaoke will take place on Saturday, January 11th, also in the Lodge Ballroom at 5 p.m., and then again on Saturday, February 1st at 5 p.m. So please join us there. And that's it for me. No questions?
Aren't you supposed to be out here dancing?
I am, but you know, I wear heels about once every 2 months, and today is that day, and I just was not confident I wouldn't fall. So.
He's all about the liability.
Do you sing too?
Not at all. There has to be a lot of libation for that to take place.
Yeah, great.
All right.
So next we'll move on to the management report, which is on pages 34 through 62. No action though, and then same with the correspondence. That's just for board review. Next would be new business, starting on page 65 through 66, is a proposal from the activities director for the annual HOA appreciation luncheon, which we host all of the volunteers. Have a good time. The cost for this event would be $2,675, and finance has reviewed and also blessed this event. Money wise.
Make a motion to approve the HOA appreciation luncheon in the amount of $2,675.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the HOA appreciation lunch for $2,675. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next is also a proposal from the activities director for a steel drum band, which will be on March 28th. Sounds like a lot of fun. She got this at a discount, so the cost for this event would be $550.
I'll make a motion to approve a steel drum band event from our activities director on March 28th in the amount of $550.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded to approve the steel drum band event for $550. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion carries.
Next is a Mardi Gras event, also from the activities director. This will be held on April 17th. Total cost for this event will be $1,160.
I'll make a motion to approve the Mardi Gras event in the amount of $1,160.
I'll second.
So moved and seconded to approve the Mardi Gras event for $1,160. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Carried.
Thank you. Next is this is on the agenda as a petition to amend the CCNRs. So the CCNR amendment vote, none of them passed. The votes to change the governing documents on the cumulative voting and the district delegates needed 67%, and they were in the low 50s. So a majority of the membership did approve those, but it did not meet the 67% threshold that it was needed. Same with the district delegates for the Springdales. That one had 50.1%, so it's over the majority did, but not enough. This would give the board the opportunity to work with legal counsel to petition the court to amend the CCNRs as the vote taken.
Need a motion?
Yes, please.
How about a motion that we proceed with the attorneys to have the vote approved by the courts for the CCNRs on the delegates and the cumulative voting?
Yes.
And the
delegates for the Springdales.
Delegates for Springdales.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to petition the courts to amend their CCNRs in accordance with the vote that we recently held. Any discussion?
I would extend that, since it's almost impossible for us to get the community, to get the full community, 67% of the community, we will never pass anything that we want to change in the CCNRs. So I would recommend that we ask the court to have us change the CCNRs so that as long as we have more than 50% of the community voting, that then can be 67% of the people that vote. So more than 50% of the people vote, 67% of that quorum should be all we need to amend CCNRs. Otherwise, we're never going to get anything. I've made the comment that if we were to propose giving everybody in the community $1,000 and run that through, I don't think it would be accepted. So many people don't care. Many people just are not interested in doing these things. So we have to make it more amenable. Otherwise, we're going to be stuck with this every time we try to do something. So again, my recommendation, ask the court not only to bless that, but to have us change the CCNRs so that 50% or more of the people voting, 67% of the people who voted that are quorum more than 50%, that should be enough for us to modify the CCNRs.
Second.
Jerry moved, Ed seconded, so.
Okay. Any further discussion?
Will that tie in the vote into where the court has to approve all of the CCNR changes at 50%? Will that, 50% plus one, will that delay us from going forward with this delegate and cumulative voting thing right now?
Well, the courts are, the CCNRs were already modified back in 2011, 2012 to have that 50% plus one. The 67% is still in there because that can't be changed.
Okay.
When this happened years ago. So I'm not sure if that's going to be able to be changed, honestly, to be 50, if we have 50%, then the 67 of that 50, because on that math, we're there right now. We had over 50% that voted, 74% approved it of those that voted. So we can talk to legal counsel and see if that's something that's possible.
We can do it in two pieces. Suggest the first one that's the immediate item, and then part B is, and by the way, we would like you also to approve.
Perfect. So would this first motion from Jerry and Ed just be to petition the court to change the CCNRs based on the majority approval that was taken? And then we could have a second motion to then also ask the court to do, if over 50% vote, 67% of that would pass it.
So we have to vote on the first one and then
Yeah, I'd love to do it that way.
Try to get us to. So the first proposal, which is to petition the courts to amend the CCNRs to the vote that were taken. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that passes. Now the second proposal, which is
my proposal,
which is to get them to permanently change all of our CCNRs so that we can amend our CCNRs with 50% plus one of the people voting and 67% of those who voted in favor of it.
Yes.
So that's a motion by Joe.
I'll second Joe's motion.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
My question is, would our council support the second motion? Is that something I think is realistic?
My communication with council would be, is this possible to do? If it is, then I would direct them to go forward. If it's not, I would then advise the board, the second motion is not possible based on the CCNRs and civil code.
Yes.
Right,
Agreed.
right. Based on that, yeah.
Motion, vote on, pass.
Okay.
And lastly, new business is a proposal for a dog park installation from CPT. This would be down by the Breckenridge Gate. It would not have a fob entrance at this time, but it would have the double gate system and two different sides, one side for large dogs, one side for small dogs, and again the dual gate so that you could take a dog in, then go in, same thing to come out. There is no cost to the association to install this dog park, and an anonymous donor has kindly offered to pay for the installation of the fencing and gates.
Proposal?
I propose that we approve the dog park proposal from CP&T.
Yeah, and I think we have to accept the donation, right?
Yes.
Do we have to accept the donation first, or do we?
Do we have, donation first?
Accept the donation.
Accept the donation and then accept the dog park.
Okay, then I would propose that we accept the donation for the dog park.
Second.
Moved
and seconded.
Who seconded?
We accept the donation
Jolene seconded.
of the fence for a dog park.
This is the fence is being donated.
The fence is being donated. Are we voting on the dog park?
We're voting on the
First, we're
fence
on the
donation.
fence.
On the donation, accepting the donation.
Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Now, we need to vote on the dog park itself.
The location, yes.
Yeah.
I propose that we accept that we accept the dog park location as proposed by CP&T.
I'll second the purpose of discussion.
It's been moved and seconded that we accept the location of dog park as proposed by CP&T. Discussion.
Yeah, the discussion, I just want to be sure that all the work that the Tails and Trails Group and the ad hoc committee did with all of the regulatory issues are going to be taken into consideration, because the dog park, I'm very much in favor of the dog park, but I wanted to make sure that the work that Martha and her crew have done over a year at least or more is going to be taken into consideration in how we run this dog park. And
I think what we anticipate is that Tails and Trails will run the dog park. They will be responsible for keeping it clean and making sure that everything goes the way they have been describing the dog parks that they've attended.
Haven't we already accepted a proposed set of rules that they provided us?
Yes.
Yeah,
So those
We've
rules
already
will
accepted the
be
rules.
standing for what?
They will have to be somewhat modified because those rules were based on
fobs and
a
stuff.
fob operating system.
Okay.
And this won't have a fob.
Yeah, that's my
operating system.
concern. So, but in general, the majority of the regulations and rules that they put forth will be honored.
Yes.
Yes.
I would add one other thing on the comment earlier in the day about using the area that's out there by the courts, which is a catch basin for the storm water runoff. Because of the Potrero Creek being part of the Santa Ana River Agency and that storm drain reservoir there, a key catchment basin for all of the water that comes down off the mountain into that area, we would most likely have to go and get approval from the Santa Ana Water Agency, River Water Agency, which is not very likely. We looked at that, or CP&T did look at that. Plus the seasonality of it would mean that at least 4 months of the year it would be unusable. So it was not recommended by CP&T as a good location for a dog park, but we did look at that. In fact, they looked at 6 or 8 different locations throughout the area, and this seemed to be the only one that would not be a problem that would be acceptable. And it's big enough for the ones that we looked at, and I think it meets the requirement. So, any other discussion?
Yes, certainly from what I've heard today and from what I've seen, most everyone in the community is in favor of the dog park, and far be it from me to go against what the majority of the people want. I just want to bring up a couple of caveats. We talk about people picking up the poop, and certainly that's necessary to do. But in my prior community, we had other situations where we had a dog park, and there were some dogs that attacked other dogs and attacked homeowners, and the HOA got sued. We got sued big time. So, again, I bring that up as a caveat. I'm not saying to vote no, I'm going to vote no on it, but what I'm saying is you ought to have that in the back of our minds, and just make sure when you bring your dogs out there, they're not going to attack people and dogs.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to make sure that the procedures that had been outlined by the ad hoc committee and Tails and Trails were reviewed and respected, and we followed through with that.
That was all covered in the...
That's right, it was
ad hoc
covered,
rules.
right. It was covered.
And the law clearly states that the dog owner is responsible for the actions of the dog, not the community.
We bless this dog park,
Yes.
and we are responsible. We can say all we want, that we're not.
Actually, we're not. I disagree because the lawyers have looked at it and said no, because we have rules as to who can go in there and who can't. It's a private dog park, not public. And We are subject to litigation any day of the week for a million different things that go on around here. We're certainly threatened by it. But I don't think we can hide under the covers because of the threat.
No, and that's fine. I'm not saying no, but what I'm saying is just keep it in the back of our minds and try to make sure when our dogs go out there that they're going to be well behaved.
Okay, all those in favor of the dog park?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. We have one item on unfinished business to review and approve to send out the social committee event guidelines for ticket sales. This takes into consideration the event tickets can only be purchased by check. Ticket sales are limited to resident only during the first 2 weeks of event ticket sales, with the exception that single residents may bring a guest 21 years or older to functions. Tickets are limited to one table per residence. Guests, through a resident sponsor, may purchase tickets 2 weeks after the first sale, if available. And this would go back out for homeowner comment. So this is just to approve it to go out for homeowner comment.
So this is just writing somewhere?
Yeah, it's on page 780.
And this is a motion just to approve it to go out for the 28 days?
Yes, and this is after, there was a little bit of a mix-up last month with on my part, on the wording. So this is, the social committee has looked at it, rewritten it, blessed it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll make the motion that it go out for the 28-day review for the social committee event guidelines.
Second.
Moved and seconded that we send out for comment the social committee event rule guidelines. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I have a question, Eric. So we're saying no scalping, but I think maybe we need a comment about if you are going to use your tickets, they need to be returned to the lodge desk so that the waiting list can get those tickets. Isn't that how the procedure is going to work?
No, because there's, I believe, in Loretta, correct me if I'm wrong, that they didn't want to have that strict, because if you're just talking to your friend a few days before the event or a day before the event and you're sick, like, oh, I so wanted to go to the New Year's party, but I'm sick. And so I wanted to go, well, here's, we'll give me the money and I'll give you the tickets and we're good to go. But definitely no scalping.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye. Thank you. And the next meeting's actually not going to be in February. It's going to be January 23rd, just to approve the collection rolls that went out for comment.
Okay.
And with that,
Motion to
Jerry, is that?
Yeah, motion to close the meeting.
Second.